you guys do with July? Did it just vanish? Man. Well, we're glad you guys could come. We have a lot of exciting things for you tonight, as always. No dancing girls tonight, I'm sorry. If you missed June, you missed the dancing girls. But next month, we will be traveling. So you see these flyers you probably have at your seat. If you're confused about it, don't be. Be excited. Next month, we're going to do Traveling First Tuesday. We want to get you guys on the road. We want you to see a little bit more of your area command. And most importantly, we want you to meet your neighbors. And I know you hear me talk about this, but I'm really proud because Northwest is such a unique area command. And we're the only area command that actually houses all the 8 major religions here in the Valley. So we've invited them to all come and share some of their beliefs, their thoughts, their processes, and their food, which I know that you guys will love. Their food and their dance and their culture, and we wanted to do it someplace centrally located. So we're going to do it at Centennial Hills Park, which is a beautiful amphitheater and just a gorgeous space, lots of parking. It'll only be 107, not 111, so it's better. It's fine, right? It'll be good. You'll be fine. We'll have plenty of water, troughs set up. It'll be good. Troughs. It's good. So we're looking forward to having you guys come out. So take these flyers. We printed a lot of them. If you need more for your friends of your friends, people that you just want to come see sweat, bring them out. We'll be there from 4 to 8, so come and stay as long as you like. And it'll be a festive event, so we're excited about it. I mean, we want your feedback to see if you like being on the road a little bit. So if you've never been to Northwest First Tuesday, welcome to the madness. We're really happy to have you. We do partake over here in the Police Academy, so if you're wondering if this is the area command, this is the Police Academy. We want to come fill you with knowledge just that's held in these walls, where we have an academy still going through every month, which bringing more police officers to the streets for you, which is pretty exciting. All right, so tonight our topic is sexual assault. And I know it seems a little bit like a grim topic that people don't want to talk about very often, but we need your help. Sexual assaults have had a profound effect on a lot of families across the country and specifically in our valley. And after you probably saw all over the news the rise of the Me Too campaign, we did see an increase in delayed reporting in many instances. And I think that delayed reporting, although it shows an increase in numbers, is very important because what it means is we're getting victims the help they need. And it's very, very important, and we take it incredibly serious. And we've gone the extra mile to really educate our officers and give them the tools they need to be able to identify the crime properly. And more importantly, and what you're going to hear about a lot tonight, is getting the victim the services they need so they don't become repeat victims. And that's really important to help them break the cycle and to help families get the assistance they need early. But before we launch into that, I have a couple of awards. And I know you guys love this part of our First Tuesday, and we really love doing it. We spend 70% of our time devising who we're going to give awards to because it's important, right? There's only 2 things that motivate people in a profession. It's recognition and achievement. And those things are really important no matter where you are in your career. So as you know, or if you don't know because it's your first time here, we always do an internal recognition of somebody within our station that has gone above and beyond. And then we like to acknowledge somebody externally, a community member or someone that really has stepped up to help make our community a safer place. So we had ordered some plaques, and then we kept forgetting every month to bring them over because we also do officer and community member of the quarter. So we actually are going to double dip tonight, so you're lucky because you get to be a part of it all. So the first one I'm going to give tonight is, I had the pleasure of calling her my friend, on top of just being a service provider here in the community. Where'd you go, Jolie? I saw you sit. Come on. So if you've never heard of the Anti-Defamation League, you've missed out, and I encourage you to go home and Google it. The Anti-Defamation League has been around for 100 years. The ADL leads the country, and I would even venture to say the world, in the fight against hate. So it's obviously did focus for many years just on anti-Semitism and how to prevent hate, and really a lot of what the Jewish community went through as they battled hate over many decades. This is my good friend and community member Jolie Brislin, and she is the director of the ADL here locally for Las Vegas, and they have 16 around the country?
28.
I was close. 28 around the country. And Las Vegas is one of the biggest hubs. And so they serve both Metro and all of the surrounding police agencies as a resource. They put on training for us on hate crimes. They track statistics of hate crimes. And they put on incredible trainings all over the world, from Israel to Washington, D.C., that teach law enforcement specialists how to recognize, report, and deal with hate activities. And so Jolie has been my community partner and friend for close to a decade now, and I'm so honored to call you my friend. And we wanted to honor you tonight as the unsung hero for the first quarter of 2018 for all the hard work that you do for our community and for our police department and our city. Jolie Brislin, you are the 2018 first quarter unsung hero from Northwest Area Command. And it's a big deal, and if you guys ever need information on hate crimes, the ADL is the place to go. So, and her lovely daughter Hannah came tonight to support her. So Hannah, thanks for supporting your mom, and I know she's away from the house a lot, but she's pretty awesome. She should be very proud. And so the second one is also someone that I get to call my friend and my pastor, which I think is pretty lucky to have them wrapped into one. And he is the guy that if you call at 2 in the morning, not the one that you call at 2 in the morning and say bring a shovel, not that friend. You all have that friend, he's not that friend. He could be. He's the one you call at 2 in the morning and say, hey, I need help. My life is falling apart, I'm in shambles. He's that one. Or when we say, hey, we have a homicide, and we're really afraid of gang retaliation. Can you come help save this family? He's that one. He's the one you call 24 hours a day, 7 days a week, no matter what the problem is, no matter how big or small. This man gives of his heart, gives of his church, gives of his family. And I know his children can attest to it because your dad has gone a lot, saving people's lives, I'm sure. But Pastor Tice, can you come up for a minute? So if you've never had the pleasure of meeting Pastor Matt Tice, you're in for a real treat, because he is an incredible soul, and we have the opportunity here, not just in Northwest. I mean, I really tried to make you just ours, but then he reminded me of a virtue called selfishness. And I have to share him with the other area commands. But he comes out on all of our community cleanups, whenever we have a gang shooting, whenever we have a school function, any kind of death. He's been out on suicides. He comes out when our cops are injured or killed. He was a staple here after 1 October. The list goes on and on and on, and at the risk of making him blush, I just want to take the moment to tell you, the community, if you haven't been to his church yet and you're looking for a place to go, or you know someone who's looking for a place to go, it is a really special place just on Lake Mead, just east of Rainbow. And I'm going to get choked up telling you what an amazing person he is. So Pastor Tice, you're our fourth quarter. That's how far behind. You were traveling, saving the world overseas, so that's why we're so late. But your fourth quarter, 2017, and Northwest Area Command wants to honor you as our unsung hero. Thank you for everything you do for us. All right, one more, and then I'm going to do our internal ones. But this is how awesome your community is, Northwest. If you don't know what kind of givers you have, you're surrounded by them. It's pretty intense. So as some of you might know, we've taken a real stand on domestic violence, or against domestic violence, I should say. Last year at this time, Northwest Area Command was close to one of our highest ever. We had 6 domestic violence related homicides. Anybody know how many we've had this year so far in Northwest? 0. That's right, 0. 0 domestic violence related homicides so far this year. Well, you gotta sing a good stat while we got it, right? So that was my chief giving me the thing. Why did you jinx it? So listen, it's really important because we didn't do this alone. I wish that I could tell you that we were just that good, but we're not. It is because of a community partnership that we were able to form that allowed us to really see where we were missing the ball. And something that we talk about here at Northwest a lot is we try to find ways to close the loop. And what that means is we're really good at showing up and taking the bad guy to jail. We got that figured out. We can show up, we can even pull out our fancy handcuffs, and we can take the bad guy to jail. We can even put a really good case on them. But where we miss the loop is sitting with the victim and getting them the services they need to get out of a situation, to get their children out, to find temporary housing, to do all of the things that, when you've been in a traumatic, abusive relationship, are really stressful. They're really hard obstacles to overcome. So what we figured out is we couldn't do it alone and we needed a partner. We decided, and I'm going to let my lieutenant do part of this, but last year we were really struggling on how to make an impact, and then Lieutenant Hatchett put together a program, which you're going to hear about in just a minute, that has changed the way we do business. And you can see by the statistics so far this year that victims want help, and what it's done for us is it's decreased repeat calls for service, and it's decreased suspects that are involved in numerous cases. And that's going to say a lot, right? That goes a long way. And it educates the public, it educates families, and we couldn't have done it without the help of the Rape Crisis Center. So before I present our second quarter 2018, right, I'm going to tell you, 2018 recipients. I'm going to let Tim read the plaque that goes along with it because there's a whole story that you have to understand. And then we're going to present the president of the board of Safe Nest and the vice president of gift giving.
That's it?
Gift giving. Is that the best title ever? Vice president of gift giving? I'm going to introduce you to these two fine people as soon as Tim reads the accommodation. Oh, hold on, Tim.
You sure?
Yep.
I could probably scream loud enough.
It's hard to back to hear.
Okay, the Las Vegas Metropolitan Police Department and Northwest Area Command would like to take a moment to thank Safe Nest, their staff, and all their volunteers for their dedication to helping victims of domestic violence within Northwest Area Command. Last year, Northwest Area Command alone experienced 6 domestic violence-related homicides. Currently, domestic violence makes up approximately 25% of homicides accounted for in the Las Vegas Valley. In December of 2017, Safe Nest and the Northwest Area Command embarked upon a new and exciting pilot program. The idea behind the pilot program was to provide a timely, victim-centric approach to domestic violence investigations. It was believed that by addressing both the suspect and the victim, we could potentially break the power and control cycle which is so commonly associated with domestic violence. It was recognized that officers alone could not fulfill the needs of the victim, and that research has shown that the best practices revolve around the partnering of law enforcement and not-for-profit domestic violence advocates. Safe Nest worked with Northwest Area Command to develop a program where victim advocates respond directly in the field to victims of domestic violence. Safe Nest would respond to the scene to provide support to the victims and help them understand the numerous resources available to them. Safe Nest would help the victims establish emergency protective orders, housing, counseling services, navigate the legal system, and follow through and follow up with the victims in need. Safe Nest initially started the program by allowing Safe Nest victim advocates to respond to Northwest Area Command on our busiest days for service. The first 90 days of the program led to 102 call-outs where victim advocates responded directly in the field to victims. During this time, we experienced a 13.5% reduction in calls for service related to domestic violence. We received profoundly positive feedback from victims and a culture change among officers in the field. This culture change resulted in understanding that victim advocates served a profoundly positive influence on victims in the field and ultimately resulted in reduced repeat calls for service. Most importantly, in the 8 months since starting the program, as noted, knock on wood, we've had 0 homicides related to domestic violence. Recently, Safe Nest has expanded their days of coverage with the goal of extending to 7 days a week, 24 hours a day. Ultimately, we are working toward a goal of expanding valley-wide, which would allow all area commands to obtain the services so desperately needed by victims on scene. Safe Nest and all their staff have been exceptional partners and have helped countless victims. Northwest Area Command would like to express our sincere appreciation and say thank you for everything you do.
So this is the president of the SafeNest Board, Dana Dwiggins. And as she's been my friend for 20 years, and as I like to, she won't brag about herself, I'll just tell you, she's kind of a big deal. And totally awesome what she's done for SafeNest, helped them completely revamp and build a really huge functioning charitable organization that is just making a huge impact in this community. So Dana, thank you for all that you do.
Thank you for
And
you guys as well.
she brings the gift giver, Phil, Vice President of Gift Giving, and we're just so proud to be partners with you guys. Thank you so much for all your dedication. And we were thinking that Liz was coming, so please make sure that she gets to hold her big plaque. And then we also have a certificate that we will send home with you guys, as many copies as you want. And the names can change on the top just so to protect the innocent. But we want to say thank you publicly, and you guys to know that the real magic behind our numbers and our success are the work that their volunteers are doing. And tomorrow we have a recruiting seminar and training.
Yeah, I just wanted to go over that with you guys. We're going to have 2 events. One's going to be on August 8th. If you guys have a pen handy or just your phone, throw it in here. I can also get you this information afterwards. It's available valley-wide, but it's going to be specifically for SafeNest and the program that we've established at Northwest, with the emphasis of expanding the program in a significantly reduced period of time. So basically, all this requires is your commitment to showing up. You do have to utilize your own vehicle, but we've instilled safety precautions and everything in regard to that. And we're going to provide some info tomorrow about the program and how it's infected the victims in the field, and the great response we've received from this influence from SafeNest. So the dates are going to be August 8th at 6 p.m. and August 11th at 10 a.m. And it's going to be right here at the Jerry Keller Training Facility. So you just come right back over here on those 2 dates and those times. We can provide you with all that information.
So let's hear it for SafeNest. Thank you to Dana. Thank you to Phil. They're our second quarter unsung heroes. One more.
We got one more picture.
I told you the paparazzi's here tonight.
1, 2, 3. Thank you.
Thank you. Thank you, guys. So, Tim, don't go too far. So here's the best part about being the captain. I get to make all the rules. And he's going to kill me because I didn't tell him. But isn't that the fun part? Don't you guys love when I surprise them and they turn red? It's really a lot of fun, right? So I told you we also do internal awards for the officers of the quarter. So we decided that because he built this program with little to no help from anyone else, and you know he works graveyards, so you know what that means, right, you guys? He works all night, he kind of sleeps during the day when I'm not calling him with 19 questions and waking him up every hour. So we decided that because of all of the hard work Tim has done in last year, putting this project together, and then I might or might not have tasked him with the second project that you're going to hear about tonight to build us a sexual assault project, that he by far has earned the title of Officer of the Second Quarter of 2018. So I wanted to bring him up here, formally embarrass him, and honor him for the work that he's done, because we don't get to tell our leadership thank you often enough. And what you don't know is the lieutenant's kind of a weird role. They're not really out there with the guys on a nightly basis like the sergeants. They don't really get to come to all the fun captain meetings, which you can anytime. So they're kind of in a strange world, right? They're kind of middle management. If you ever worked in a company of middle management, that lieutenant role is the fulcrum between me and what has to happen to keep everybody upstairs happy and making sure the message gets communicated to the troops. And in the middle of doing all that, he runs major scenes and establishes incident command at different various eruptions around, and he's the watch commander for the Valley. And on top of that, he's building programs. So I wanted you guys to know that Lieutenant Tim Hatchett built this SafeNest program with passion. Before he became a cop, he worked in social services and domestic violences and sexual abuse cases, so he already had a really good foundation for it. And he brought all of that knowledge, skills, and ability with him here. And he's done a phenomenal job building relationships with SafeNest, with Rape Crisis Center, and putting this program together just really out of the love and passion to make an improvement in this community. So Tim, tonight, the crew and I decided that you are by far the unsung hero of 2018 for our first quarter. So congratulations, my friend. Thank you for your help. big plaque, but I told him we should just get you the big plaque. So,
Well, I'd like to say one thing. I appreciate all the support of the captain. Without her providing the support and the opportunity to actually engage in these things, I wouldn't have been successful. So this has been a team effort, including all staff, all the officers, because without the officers participating in the program, it wouldn't be successful. And ultimately, I just want to say that I'm just really happy that this has been successful and that we've had profoundly positive feedback from victims in the field. So I sincerely appreciate all of you inside this room, and thank you for your time.
all right, last one, and again, it's a surprise. He doesn't know. He might know since we forced him to come to First Tuesday, but Mr. LaRosa, come on down.
All right, everybody, I'm Rick Gibbon. I'm the admin lieutenant here at Northwest. As the captain said, every quarter we want to recognize an employee that we feel has gone above and beyond. All our cops work hard out there. They're doing it every day. But there's always that one officer that is that shining light and that positive influence for both the station, the community, and the squad that he works on. Just to tell you a little bit about him, so he happened to take a sergeant's test, been on 10 years, and he made it on that sergeant's list because he's motivated and dedicated to this community and to this department. We felt we had ourselves in dire straits at one point where we lost a sergeant to another bureau. We were down a sergeant, and Officer LaRosa stepped up. He said, I'll be the acting until we get a sergeant in there, and I think 3 to 4 weeks he was in that acting role. Not only that, but he doesn't rest there. As you know, we're growing as a department. This place that you're sitting in now is filled throughout the week. We're hiring officers throughout every month, and we're churning them out through field training. He didn't rest because he's also a field training officer. So he is developing our officers now and ensuring that they are motivated. I tell you, you can't help when you're walking down the hallway and you see him come down the hallway but to smile. He has something positive to say every time he sees you. He has that positive vibe. He's been outstanding. This is the reason that Officer James LaRosa, P number 13448, you are the Northwest Area Command Unsung Hero, 4th quarter of 2017.
See, isn't it fun? It's fun to see the bright side of policing, isn't it? That's the side the media doesn't tell you. You got lots of people in here doing selfless work every day, and that's why we like to let you guys see our shining stars. So thank you guys for enduring going through that with us, because it's important that you get to see and carry that message back to your communities. And I wanted to wait until everybody arrived, but I want to take a second to introduce, as I do every month. It's actually a special night for me. This is my chief's first time at my First Tuesday, so I feel pretty honored. So Chief Jones, he's the deputy chief that oversees the community police division. And what's really cool about Chief Jones is he was the captain here at Northwest Area Command before he became a chief. And so it's really neat because he'll give me little pointers about what he had in the growth that Northwest Area Command has seen over the last few years. And so it's been fun to kind of have, I'm sure, his generations, right? Now you get to oversee us running your area command. So it's really fun. I want you to get a chance to introduce yourself. He's a great chief, and we're lucky to have him with us. He oversees 7 of the 9 area commands, which is a pretty huge lift, right? Everything except for the Strip and downtown. So we are the Community Policing Division. So anyway, I just want to take a moment to introduce him to you. And then next to him is a good friend of mine, Captain Sean Tolman, who oversees homicide. I was going to say the slang term, but it's homicide and sexual assault. So that's a pretty big bureau, right? People that all of his victims have passed away, or they've gone through the most heinous of crimes. So he has a pretty big lift over there. And any other captains sneaking that I haven't seen? And then all of the other fine gentlemen you see around the room in uniforms like this. My swing shift lieutenant, Troy Barrett, is up top. And then the other guys are my COP team, led by Sergeant Stu Richmond. And my day shift lieutenant is sitting down here incognito, Carmen Donegan. She's undercover to keep an eye on you guys. That's why I put her down here in plain clothes, make sure you guys are behaving. And then, as you know, my dear friend and City Councilwoman Michelle Fiore is here tonight, always supporting us. And then Sally Christensen, I see you back there from Star Wars Anthony's office. And then, did Darren from Albertsons, do I see you back there, Darren, or did you not come in tonight? No, Darren? Okay. And then the pizza, as you guys know, is put on and sponsored by 7-Eleven. So if you see Pawan or the guys from 7-Eleven, make sure to say thank you. And then, I want to make sure that get it all out together. Assemblyman Richard MacArthur has joined us this evening, so we keep growing. We feel so lucky. So raise your hands, tell hello. No, you're saying incognito? Okay, incognito. I won't embarrass anyone that I don't have to. All right, you guys, so without further ado, unless did I miss anyone? I hope not. Without further ado, oh, he's here. Okay, Rabbi Meadows, great, you walked in. Thank you. My good friend Rabbi Meadows is here, and I promised him I would wait to share with you the one downside that I want to share with you, a little bit of sad news. As you guys that have been coming to First Tuesday for a long time know, the folks that you see in the yellow shirts are really the people that make the miracles happen around here. If you've ever gotten a parking ticket, that wasn't my fault. We all know I didn't drive that. But if somebody ever parked in your parking spot and wasn't supposed to, these guys are the ones that handled it. But our volunteers are so amazing. They are the largest bureau on our agency. They help us with every event we have around the valley, special events, funerals, major events, New Year's Eve, First Tuesdays, you name it. There's probably not an event that happens around this community that you won't see one of these fabulous yellow shirts at. And here at Northwest, we have a very strong, dedicated contingency of volunteers. And I know that some of these folks have 1,000, 5,000, 10,000 hours of volunteer time. And that's remarkable. I can't even imagine any other profession that has volunteers that is that dedicated. So I'd like to always thank you guys for coming. Thank you for your support, because we certainly couldn't do this without you. And with a heavy heart and a great deal of sadness, I wanted to take a moment to acknowledge the passing of one of our volunteers this last week. Lawrence Melvin Wagman passed away on August 4th. And he had been with us for a long time. And he had gone through a really hard time recently and was really concerned about the health of his wife, and had supported her with such love and just caring, and had come in and shared his trials with us. And we were so happy to hear that she had been doing better. And then tragically we lost him this past week. So I wanted to take a moment and really acknowledge his passing. Please never forget that your yellow shirt is our tan shirt, and we are you. So please know that we support you, and we love you, and we honor you for all that you do. And we're so sorry for the loss of your brother. All right, so as we talked about with SafeNest, the Rape Crisis Center has just so graciously decided to step up and become our partner to help decrease our numbers in sexual assault. And Lisa McAllister is agreed to be our speaker tonight. And she had a really fancy title that I didn't have enough room to write down, so she said, just say I'm from the Rape Crisis Center. So she's a really big deal from the Rape Crisis Center. Could I say that?
Sure,
okay.
Absolutely.
And as you probably, yeah, no, I would totally vote. And as you probably know, you've heard about the Rape Crisis Center, you've probably heard about it on TV or commercials or seen it around town. But I wanted to bring her in to really tell you what they do, how they can be of assistance, and more importantly, how you can get involved. Because let's be honest, folks, rape is one of those words that's a dirty little secret that nobody likes to talk about. But I refuse to sweep it under the carpet and ignore it, because here's the thing. Most of the time, and I actually, because I knew you guys would ask because you're that intuitive and always asking, in your stats at Northwest, I want you to know this because it's important as to how we affect it, and I'm hoping Lisa will talk about it a little bit. So in Northwest Area Command, just so you know, majority of our sexual assaults are known to victim. What that means is the victim and the suspect know each other. Maybe they're dating, maybe they previously dated, maybe they're friends at school, they know each other from work, but it's not a stranger, because I think sometimes when people hear the word rape, they think about someone hiding in the bushes and jumping out and snatching a girl and throwing her in a white van with curtains and taking off, right? You have this concept a little bit. But here's something even more tragic. Year to date, 29 of our rapes, family members. Family members. And so we've sat around and we've talked about this and we thought, how do you get inside someone's home? How do you prevent that? How do you make sure that that doesn't happen? Well, that's why we brought in the experts, because I don't have all of those answers. So the answers that we've come up with so far is we're going to raise education, which is why we're doing this tonight. We're going to talk about it so it's not a dirty little secret swept under the carpet that people are afraid to talk about. We want people to report it. We want people to know how to report it, where to report it, when to report it. If you even think that something is going on, you're not wrong to call. There's no shame in calling to report. Just like when we talk about terrorism, we talk about reporting suspicious activity, I promise we'll never laugh at you. I promise. And that's why we wanted the experts to come in and really share some of the staggering statistics that they see and how we can influence and get in front of it. And just so you know, there's only been, last year we had no stranger rape cases, 0. And this year we've had 3, and 2 of them were like, well, I kind of knew them, but I wasn't sure. I'd seen them around. So they weren't really the jumping out of the bushes and grabbing the person they didn't know case. So that means we need your help more than ever, right? That means this is something beyond taking a kung fu class or buying a taser or some pepper spray. We're talking about how do we get to the real root of this problem and affect change in our community. So that's what we're working on tonight. So without further ado, I'm going to hand it over to the experts and allow Ms. McAllister. There you go. Thank you so much.
Thank you so much, and thank you for going ahead and actually doing my first slide for me.
Oh,
we didn't even plan that. We actually did not meet before just a few minutes ago. So thank you all for having me. Right now at the Rape Crisis Center, I work in the Prevention Education Department. Previous to that, I was a victim advocate who did respond to the hospital when clients came to the hospital for a rape kit to be done. And I will talk a little bit more about that. We're going to go super fast, so put on your safety belts. So, like the captain said, when people think about who's a rapist, what do they look like? Maybe this is something that pops into your mind. Maybe this guy. That is an actual mugshot. But what about this guy? He's a very, very infamous rapist. He was caught in the act of raping an unconscious woman behind a dumpster. He's now appealing a very, very light sentence. But he doesn't look like your typical idea of a rapist, right? What about this lady? She was a teacher here in Clark County School District and had sexually assaulted one of her students. How about this guy? Fame, fortune, talent, and yet he felt it, something that he wanted to do was to drug and rape a series of women. Did he need to drug women to have sex with them? Probably not. He probably didn't. But that goes to show you that sexual assault is not about wanting sex. It's about power and control. And that is what this man wanted. And we all know about this guy. And I don't mean to conflate the issue by putting Harvey Weinstein up here, okay? Let's first talk about the problem here in Las Vegas. It is very, very difficult to get firm statistics because sexual assault is one of the least reported crimes. And there's a lot of reasons for that. And if you have ever known someone who is a victim, you understand what they go through when they have to tell that story. Some of them just can't do that. As a matter of fact, the best research that we have says that approximately 70% of sexual assaults are not reported to police. However, most sexual assaults are reported to someone, a friend, a family member, a neighbor, somebody that that victim believes can help them. And we're going to talk about how you, as the friend of somebody who has experienced this, because I guarantee whether you know it or not, you know a victim. How can you help them? We'll get there really fast, I promise. So, our numbers from the Rape Crisis Center. Last year we had over 3,500 calls to our hotline, and we served about 750 victims at the hospital. The statistics that the captain talked about, a lot of those reports that they've gotten, that Metro has gotten this year, their reports have just gone through the roof. But a lot of those reports are not immediate reports. They're reports from the past. And so the 750 people that we saw at the hospital were immediate. You only go to the hospital within a week of the sexual assault that's occurred. Okay? So you're hearing the other people in the 3,500 number. So our numbers just keep going up, and I like to believe it's because not that more sexual assaults are happening, but that victims feel like they are being seen and heard now, that they are valid people. So, going back to Harvey Weinstein, a lot of people are conflating a lot of the issues around sexual violence, okay? That includes sexual harassment, which is one of the things that Harvey Weinstein has been accused of. Relationship violence, that our friends from Safe Nest work so hard on all the time. Human trafficking, open and gross lewdness, sexual assault, child sexual abuse. All of those fall under the umbrella of sexual violence. These are the crimes that people don't want to talk about. And I get to talk about them all the time. And I am really, really pleased as a resident of Northwest to be here tonight, and I really appreciate being asked. So here is language from the Nevada Revised Statutes describing sexual assault. In the Nevada Revised Statutes, there is no term rape. The legislature felt that this term sexual assault was more appropriate, and it is a lot of legalese, and some folks maybe feel challenged by that, so we have simplified it for you. The essential elements of a sexual assault are, first of all, a penetration, the entering of a bodily opening in a sexual manner, without consent, and we're going to talk more about that, and with or without force. So going back to that myth that people have, that it's a stranger who jumps out of the bushes and grabs someone and physically forces them down. So rare as to be almost non-existent. And as you heard from the statistics, it's pretty non-existent in Northwest right now. It is mostly a crime that is accomplished through coercion, through force. When you start to think about the dynamics of two people who know each other, when you really know somebody, you know what makes them tick. You know what they're afraid of. You know what kinds of things will influence them, and that is called coercion. And so that is what causes a sexual assault to be able to occur, as opposed to pure physical force. There are four situations that you may not have thought about. Because consent, what does that even mean? People don't think about consent. People of my generation never learned about it. We were just told that if you don't like something, you have to say no, and you have to say it in a way that you mean it. And then you saw in movies that, oh, well, if she says no, that really means yes, because she has to prove that she's a good girl by saying no, when really she means yes. That's confusing, and that's not real. That's baloney. When someone says no, they mean no. But consent isn't about saying no. We're going to talk about that in a minute. But when someone is asking for consent, they're just simply asking for permission, right? Can you get permission from an unconscious person? Certainly not. How could they even understand the question? They're unconscious. For whatever reason, they're unconscious. Maybe they're asleep. No harm, no foul, right? But let's think about this some more. The next condition, intoxicated. A lot of people believe, and I don't want to talk about that yet. A lot of people say, oh, but you were drunk. I will tell you that when I go into that emergency room and I talk to somebody who's been sexually assaulted, the first person they blame is themselves. They don't say, why did that person do this to me? How could anyone be so cruel? They say, oh, I shouldn't have been there. I shouldn't have gone to the club. Well, I'm sorry. This is Las Vegas. People start not going to clubs, we're out of business. We're done here. You are free to go to clubs. You are free to go with your friends and have a good time. No one has the right to hurt you. Whether you've had 1 drink or 5, no one has the right to commit a crime against you. And that is why you cannot consent when you're intoxicated. You shouldn't be driving a car, you can't sign a contract, and you shouldn't be asked to consent to anything because you are not in a state of mind to consent. And this is covered under law. The next one is severe disability. People don't really necessarily understand what that is, but that's someone who either cannot understand the request that's made of them in a way that they wouldn't realize they could say no, or perhaps they have some other physical disability that makes them so dependent on maybe a caregiver. And we know a lot of folks can't get around well on their own. Maybe it's someone who needs a wheelchair, but their wheelchair's across the room. And that caregiver says, well, if you do this, then I'll go get your wheelchair for you. Are they in a position to say no? That's what consent is all about. They're not. So it's unfair to ask, and that immediately makes it a crime. Finally, they are, under the age of consent. Anybody know the age of consent here in Nevada? I've heard a couple numbers. For purposes of our discussion, 16 is what it's generally recognized as. There are some Romeo and Juliet laws here in Nevada that might make it a little bit more fuzzy depending on the 2 people involved, but it's generally recognized to be 16 years of age. So let's talk a little bit more about consent. For those of you folks who never had an opportunity to have education on consent, consent has 5 elements. Consent isn't saying no or not saying no. You've heard that one. Well, you didn't say no. As I say to my students, we present classes on consent to middle school and high school. If you show up for this awesome field trip to go to 6 Flags with your class and you don't have a permission slip, you don't get to just tell the teacher, hey, my parents didn't say no, so of course I get to go. Clearly, that's not consent. Consent is a clear, enthusiastic yes. If you're not getting a clear, enthusiastic yes when it comes to sex, what are you even doing? Why are you here? That's not going to be a very good experience for anyone concerned. That's why number 1, clear, enthusiastic yes. Number 2, ongoing. As things move along, can you say no? I don't want to do that. You bet you can. You can say, oh no, we're not going to do any of that. I'll go along with this. This sounds fun to me. That's not fun. Ongoing. You have to communicate. Third, it can be taken away at any time. I don't care what some of these other states' laws say. If you decide you're done, you're done. The other person doesn't get to finish. When someone says, no, I'm finished now, we're done with this, that has ended the consent, and now you're moving into illegal territory, okay? It has to be fully informed. If somebody, say, had a sexually transmitted disease, if they didn't tell you that, wouldn't that be not fully informed? That might influence your decision whether you want to have any contact with them. So if somebody's hiding something like that, now we're in the realm of coercion. And finally, it's voluntary. It isn't coerced, okay? It wasn't gained by things like pressuring, threatening, intimidation, tricks, or lies. None of this, if you loved me, you would. That's old movie stuff. That's not the way people want to live. And when you get outside of that realm, now you're talking sexual assault. Oh, manipulation. So, here's for you number guessers. I heard you all out there. Take a look at some of these blanks here and see mentally if you could fill in these statistics to give you an idea of how big this problem is. Looking at how many possible victims there are. Look at that second bullet point. The number of children who are sexually assaulted in this country is astonishing. If we had that many kids who were dying of a disease, everything would grind to a halt in this country, and we would work on ameliorating that disease immediately. But this is something that's a secret, and we can't talk about it. And so children are being hurt for their lifetimes. They will never be the same after that happens to them. And these statistics pretty much go along with what the captain talked about, right? 73% are someone the victim knows, 38% friends or acquaintances, and among child victims, 93% know the person who is perpetrating against them. And that is because children are set up for that, either by someone they love or someone who has worked their way into that child's life so that child trusts them. And child abuse is such an important topic. If you have groups of people that maybe at your church or other organizations that you would like to learn more about how to recognize a sexual predator who is going to go after children, we have a specific presentation for that to train you so that you can recognize when a child is being hurt and who might be hurting that child. And they're totally free. Our presentations are totally free. I have brochures and cards somewhere on a table somewhere, so please call us back in the corner if you would like that program. We really, really want to get that out to everybody out here. Myths and facts. We have, about 5 minutes. So, myth or fact? Sexual assault is a crime of passion and lust. It's out of control, right? Isn't that just things got out of hand and it turned into that, right? No, that's not the way it works. Like we see with domestic violence, sexual assault is centered in power and control. And if you can't really get a handle on that, I will tell you that the majority of men who are raped by straight men. The victim is straight and the rapist is straight. If it was about sex, that would never happen. It's about power, because how humiliating would that be for the victim to be in that kind of position, that they are forced by somebody else who has no sexual interest in them. That's sick. That's power and control. That's what that is. Sexual assault is a one-time crime. Anybody think that's true? No. It's absolutely not true. And the more research we do, especially with the rape kits that are being brought out of storage and are now being tested, more and more and more we are seeing that this is a repetitive crime. And when folks maybe are now feeling more comfortable about coming forward, I tell those victims, maybe this is a cold case. Maybe reporting is to make you feel stronger, but also, if this is a person that you're reporting that has sexually assaulted someone else, you can then be a supporting witness in another person's case. Your testimony from somebody who did this to you 10 or 15 years ago can help a live, hot case right now. So don't minimize people coming to report much later. It's very, very valuable to our community. So please keep that in mind. Victims are asking for it by the way they dress, their actions, their behavior. I hope that no one sees it this way. I will share with you what we learned in a training from another police department that came to Las Vegas to do some training with us. One of the police officers said, just very heartfelt, what action can a person do that would be considered a rapeable offense? Having too many drinks with your friends? That seems like an incredibly unjust punishment for something that most of us have done. Thinking about it that way kind of brings it back into perspective. If a victim doesn't fight back, they weren't really raped. Does anybody know anything about trauma? When you're in a crisis situation, what are the things that you might do?
Freeze, fight, flee.
Okay, fight or flight or freeze, right? Deer in the headlights, we're familiar with that. Those are the common reactions to being under a crisis situation, facing trauma. If you don't fight back, you've frozen, right? You're afraid and you just stopped in your tracks. At that point, the core of your brain is working. Your reasoning part where you plan out what you do in an emergency, that's over. And your lizard brain in the core of you says, this is what you need to do to survive. And sexual assault is essentially a life-threatening situation. Because if someone will do that to you, what's to stop them from killing you? They're that close. So, that's definitely a myth. And it's gonna go really slow. Okay, come on. We're going faster, please. There we go. Women make false rape accusations all the time. Anybody want to guess the statistics on percentage of false reports of sexual assault? Who's got a number for me? Who's going to be brave and give me a number? 10%. I'm sorry? 0.5%. It's right between those. Like most crimes, it's between 2 and 6%. You know what one is a lot more? Car theft. How many people have seen Animal House? We'll tell your brother, we parked it out back and then it was gone. Yeah, that's a lot more common than a false report of rape. Think about how people who report rape are treated in the public eye, how they're treated by other people. Who would do that when it didn't actually happen to them? Nobody wants to be treated that way. That's an awful thing. Only young, pretty women are raped. There's this awesome book. It's called A False Report. And it was horrible because it talks about a serial rapist who starts with young, pretty women and works his way into middle-aged women. And apparently, there's a whole sick society of people that have all kinds of particular gravitations. It might be the elderly. It might be mentally disabled. It might be all kinds of people that you wouldn't think of as potential rape victims. But rapists think of them as that because they are looking for people who are vulnerable. That's what they're targeting. And so, when we teach about child abuse, infants are raped, okay? That's not sex. That's power, okay? As long as the person never says, no, it isn't rape, I'm sure we all learned from our mini consent lesson that that's not true. And I think that's my last myth. Hello. Come on. All right. Men can be raped. Men can be raped by men. Men can be raped by women. I had a heartbreaking phone call on the hotline from a young man who was raped, when he talked to his dad about it, his dad said, well, you responded to what she did, so you must have liked it. Then it can't be rape. And I tried to explain to him that male anatomy responds to certain stimuli, as does female anatomy. You can't control that, especially under a situation where somebody has power over you. And so that I hoped that boy would be able, I gave him some resources, but he was just torn up because he was so confused. And I don't blame his dad, because his dad wasn't educated about that. That's not fair either. So if we can get educated, then we're going to save a lot of people a lot of pain and heartache. And sex workers, like any other workers, do not do their work for free. They do it by choice. They do it to earn a living, and they deserve safety when they do that. These statistics are very important because someone you know may be keeping this a secret, and you just can't understand why they are depressed. Why are they self-medicating? They're not telling anyone what's going on. I was presenting this slide as part of an education program in a middle school, and a young girl just asked if she could leave because it was too much for her. This is real. People are hurting from this. And a lot of the pain that they feel is something that we can all help with. And the best way that we can help is by supporting the victim. Thinking about how they are seeing the world. Why do the victims that I see at the hospital ask what they did wrong? Not what the rapist did, but what they themselves did. As a community, when someone, I will tell you, if somebody tells you about something that happened to them, you are an awesome person. You are a person who's created a place of trust. And the best thing that you can do is to support that person. And you may wonder, how can I do that? Well, the first way you can do it is to believe that person. I know we all love Law and Order. It's a favorite show, watch it every day, all day, because it's on all the time on all the channels. It's great. But we're not Law and Order. When a person comes to you and tells you that, they tell you that as a friend. They tell it to you because they trust you and they want you to listen to their story. You're not the investigator. And even if you are an investigator, as with any crime that's reported, you take in what you've been told and then you investigate. You don't interrogate victims. You listen to their stories. And if you are there as a friend, you offer them resources. You call the hotline with them. You take them to the Rape Crisis Center. You take them to the hospital if that's what they need. You do those things supporting them so they're not alone, because they feel very alone. They've been violated. And that's what our community really, really needs to do. So I'm just going to tell you really quick. I'm not going to go through all the questions at UMC. You can call our hotline and ask us. First thing we do is crisis intervention. We have a hotline that anybody can call 24 hours a day, 7 days a week. It is always staffed with at least a volunteer who's been trained for a minimum of 50 hours, or our professional staff. Any question. If your friend comes and tells you something and you don't know what to tell them, call the hotline together. We will help you understand what your choices are and how to best accomplish those choices. We also come to the hospital for any victim who goes to UMC for a rape kit. UMC is the only place in Southern Nevada for people to go for a rape exam. So don't get confused and take them to your nearest hospital. That's not going to work. And if you have a child who needs that sort of assistance, please call our hotline. We will tell you what to do. There's very specific things to do if it's a kid. Okay? Hold on. I know I was only supposed to go this long. We have long-term advocacy. I used to go to court with clients, go to law enforcement and questioning with the clients, whatever support they needed, help them get housing, help them get food, help them get new clothes, whatever it is that they needed. We have counseling, we have one-on-one counseling, we also have support groups in both Spanish and English. We also have for teen girls, we have a middle school group and a high school group. And yes, we have both a middle school and a high school group that are filled. Those are closed groups for 12 weeks, then we start a whole new group, and they are filled every time. And then the Education and Outreach Department, which is my department, we have education like I'm offering you here. We have the Enough Abuse program to teach parents, school staff, church workers, how to recognize and act on situations that may be child abuse. We have education programs for elementary schools, middle schools, and high schools. If you don't know whether your local school offers that, give them a call and ask them, because believe me, we're trying to bring our program there. All of those programs have been vetted by CCSD. We have all kinds of offerings. If you think that there's something we can help with, I'm sure that we can. Okay? Please call us and ask us. Thank you so much for your time. I really appreciate it.
Let's give a big thank you tonight. Thank you so much. We're so honored for your partnership between you and SafeNest. I think we're going to save the world. So thank you so much. Thank you guys for being here. And don't forget, you guys, next month, Traveling First Tuesday. So take a flyer, take lots of flyers, tell your friends, put them at the clubhouse, put them online. I know you guys are all tweeters. Put them up, right? All right, you guys, have a safe and happy August. Stay cool out there.